Hi, this is Jack Downs. Make a little video here for you. This is in 127 to go over again, but with more detail perhaps, really what you're going to write in the specific purpose statement exercise, and then also looking at how that translates to the informative introduction presentation and the paperwork you have to create for that. So I'm going to share my screen and let's go over first one and then we'll roll into the other one. And also I received a number of questions from students about like when is the first exam, when are some other things due. Yes, that's available to you on Moodle in the schedule, and in class I usually don't tell you anything much more than what's due the next class, but I'm going to review that a little more fully here too. So this video should only take a few minutes, but please do watch through to the end. So let's go ahead and share the screen and say that here's our Moodle schedule, right? And this was the last class we just had, March 3rd, where we had entomology presentations. Next class, your SPS exercise is due, and we're going to be using them in class for something called an SPS game. Will it be fun? I hope so, but it'll be informative anyway. And then, so that's why you have to have those in class, and more about the SPS exercise in just a minute. You'll also notice it explains that you bring your word distinction list to the class after that. So that's next week on Wednesday, March 10th. That's the review for exam 1. And I want you to have your word distinction list with you. This class will be a review for exam 1. Then guess what? A week from Monday, so that's Monday, March 15th, is the exam 1. So that's like not quite 2 weeks from now, but it'll come up quickly. So there's going to be a review on the Wednesday, and then the Monday that follows, the actual exam will be. Good. And then on the Wednesday, March 17th, the Wednesday after that, so now we're a couple weeks ahead, that's when your informative introduction presentation will be given. And all this time you should be working on the rhetorical analysis, because a week after that, more than a week after that, Monday, March 29th is when the rhetorical analysis paper is due, and study guide 2, be more reading. And one of the things I'll warn you that's a little bit out of whack is that it's not until close to when study guide 2 is due that I assign chapters 11 and 12. But honestly, I think you're going to need to read parts of chapter 11 ahead of time. In fact, even I may change that schedule and even push chapter 11 earlier. The reason being that you'll see in a minute, you need part of chapter 11, the example in chapter 11, to really do a good job on your informative introduction paperwork. Okay, so if I may move chapter 11 a little bit earlier, I think that makes sense. I'll adjust the schedule to that and let you know in class about it. Okay, so if that's the schedule, then let's go ahead and take a look at the SPS exercise. Remember, the SPS exercise, you're going to create 5 developed topic ideas. You're actually going to type out all the stuff. You're going to print it out and you bring it into class. Well, what is all the stuff you type out? Well, I've created an example for you, and here it is. This is how you will create your SPS exercise. This is one. I've only made 1 of them. You're going to make 5. You have to brainstorm some ideas. These have to be informative presentation ideas, only informative. General purposes inform throughout. Good. So I've done it. I've done 1 of them. So I've written out my paper like this. And topic 1, the SPS says, I've used this example a lot of times. I'm sorry, but anyway, to inform my audience about 3 major types of modern snowshoes. And I label it. I'm labeling it object. Remember in our handout about how we categorize informative presentations, we had COPE, concept, object, process, event. You have to do 1 of each of those 4 plus 1 again of these types. And this one is object. It is an object. A snowshoe is an object. Okay, good. Then from that, I've written the central thesis. The three major types of modern snowshoes are aluminum frame, composite, and EVA foam. All right, how did I know that? No, I didn't know that 100% on my own. Some of these topics, maybe you kind of already know them, topics you come up with, or maybe they're ones you don't really know. You just brainstorm some ideas. You're gonna have to go do a little research. And when you do the research, keep track of, it'll probably be websites, but it might be something else. It might be our newspaper articles, or it might be magazine articles, or it might be something from a book or something. Keep track of where you get that information, because you're gonna need it in just a minute down below. So one way or another, either just because I just know it, or because I've done a little bit of research, I have a central thesis. And you can see my central thesis uses the same kind of language as I start with my SPS, but it resolves it, uses the same language, and then it resolves it by giving the actual main ideas right there, right? But and also notice that the number I had here, and there should be a number in your SPS, it's going to be repeated here. So this language results in this language, okay? And I've labeled this, well, given the organizational pattern of topical. Well, and now you don't have to have a certain number of each organizational pattern. You have to have a certain number of each labeled SPS, COPE, concept, object, process, event. But the organizational patterns, you might have a number of them that are topical, which is the most common. Some might be chronological. Some might be spatial. Go look at the handout as far as how those are organized. Do your best to put that organizational pattern. Organizational pattern applies to the central thesis, and really, therefore, applies to the main ideas also. It's how those are organized. And my main ideas, I should literally write them out like this. Main ideas, Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. The first major snowshoe type, the first major type of modern snowshoe is the aluminum frame snowshoe. I use the same language I've used here, and I just pull out the first main idea. And the same language again, I pull out the second main idea. Same language again, pull out the third main idea. And I write the whole thing out. This is one of the problems some of you had in your study guides, is you didn't write this all out, or did not use the same language, or did not use the full to inform my audience in your SPS. These things are kind of rigid. It just gets you used to doing it. And then either because I went and found sources afterwards, or maybe I found used sources that I needed to get these main ideas, right? I list some sources, 2 sources minimum, and a little bibliography at the bottom to finish up this topic number 1. Now, where did I get these sources? I just searched these online, right? Why did I write them in this structure? Okay, so in your assignment sheet, explains that you need to use your figure 7.4 on page 130 for instructions on APA formatting. What is that? Well, it looks like this. This is that page, right? Figure 7.4. And it explains website or blog, and we're using APA formatting, so that's right there. And there it goes, it explains how to do it. It gives you the author, first, last name, first initial. If there's a date, you put it in parentheses. If there's not, you can just write in undated. The name of the article, the kind of publication it came from, and then retrieved from, and you list the web address. Now, sometimes you might not have, trouble finding an author. If you don't find an author, then just say the name of the organization, again, like the publication name, like here would be How Stuff Works Staff. I would write that in there. In my examples, both of them had an author. One of them didn't have a date on the article though, right? So there'd be the title of the article, and then the name of the publication, and then, or the name of the website or the organization, and then retrieved from, and just list the whole URL like that. And if it's some other kind of thing, you'll find those in this list. And I'm not extremely picky about this. I just want you to do your best to try to apply this formatting to the source. And then you do the next one, the next one, the next one. Okay, good. And this will give you experience in doing this. And we'll look at them on Monday and use them. And these just have to come through brainstorming. Now, how does this work into the informative introduction? Well, this stuff, But it might be one of these ideas you come up with, you decide to do your informative introduction on. If you do that, you will already be partway there. You will have created a lot of the paperwork you need. Okay, but maybe not. Maybe you decide to do a different one when you really sit down and say, which one will I really do an introduction for, and get up in front of class and actually present the introduction. Well, your assignment for the informative introduction presentation explains what kind of paperwork you have to give, and there is a little bit more detail. So if you were going to start with one of these you already did for the SPS exercise, you would just take that one out. Okay, good. You would still keep all that stuff. You keep the SPS, the CT, the main ideas. It's okay to leave them there. You don't actually have to have them there for this assignment. You're going to have them in a different way, but it's okay to leave them as they're originally, right? And labeling and setting the organizational pattern, you have to do that too. You see that's all here. Other thing it says though is to list the attention-getting devices you're planning to use. You can do that separately, or you can do it as part of the presentation outline. All right. Then it also says create a bibliography, right? Which is a minimum of 2 sources. Well, you already have 2 sources here, right? But you actually, what's one thing that's different is you have to use those sources in your introduction and verbalize them too. And remember, when we verbalize something, we don't just say the name of the article. For instance, according to howstuffworks.com, or according to Snowshoe Magazine, in an article by so-and-so, dated whatever. We need to give hopefully 2 credentials or piece of qualifying information that add to the credibility of the source. We verbalize those, right? Good. So and what kind of information are we going to look for to use as sourced information in introduction? Is information that will help to persuade people. This is an informative introduction, but we still persuade people that they want to know. And we call it the need to know statement. Try to create a need to know, a desire to know. All right. So anyway, this is the informative introduction presentation paperwork, which actually rolls into the actual way you do it too. Although you're only doing your paperwork more broadly imagines the entire presentation, you are only going to be performing the introduction, but that still uses sources. So you could list the attention-getting devices separately, just in a little list, attention-getting devices, number 1, number 2, how you plan to use them, or it could be part of your presentation outline. Now, what is a presentation outline? That's the big new thing here. You see chapter 11. Okay, again, I said I'm going to probably rearrange the reading so you do chapter 11 more, do it sooner. But either way, go look at chapter 11 and you go to page 203, page 203. And there is an example presentation outline here. The outline is in the area which says outline. Okay, good. And a couple pages before this actually describes the presentation outline. Presentation outline is not what you use on your index cards. It's a much fuller outline where you really work out all the information you have for the presentation and what you're going to say, and all the points you're going to hit. And you do them more as complete sentences, and you can put all your research into it also. So it's the big organization of the entire presentation. This example is about beneficial bacteria, this example one, but this example one is very good. It will really help you come up with your own specific purpose, central idea. You already will have done those. Okay, good, and you already have those on a piece of paper. And you see how the introduction. You could put your attention-getting devices right in here. They actually create main ideas for the introduction and Roman numeral, and then sublist them. So everything's made in an outline. And then a transition is listed here too. And then the body, main idea number 1. You're going to do, and then this goes on for pages, and I'm not going to show you them all. You can go look at it yourself. And again, read the couple pages before this. You're going to make a preparation outline for the entire presentation, not just the introduction. Although you're only going to do the introduction. Okay, you make a presentation outline for what would be the entire presentation, the main ideas, and in the conclusion also, and use this one as an example. And the attention-getting devices could be listed here or could be listed separately, and you have to have at least 2. So yes, then your introduction, attention-getting devices, sources, need to know, having built to the topic, signposted preview statement. Boom, that's the end of what you do in class. but there's going to be a lot more in the actual outline that you prepare. So I hope that helps you. Stop this. There it goes. I hope that helps you both with the SPS exercise and how that rolls into the introduction, informative introduction, and the paperwork you have to create for both of them. I'm available for questions or anything. If you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to seeing you in class again.